All right, it's Nate Flock with Pulse PEMF, and I'm really excited. I have the privilege of interviewing Dr. Dave
Whoa, wow.
Hogsed. Already, yeah, I'm lavishing on the appreciation at the beginning because you have been
Privilege.
a. It, it is. You are a PEMF super fan that turned
I
into
am.
an influencer in this area, and your energy it matches the technology. I'll just put it that way. So I know we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to give a brief introduction of who Dr. Dave is if you're not familiar with his work. Dr. Dave Hogsed, he's a doctor of Oriental medicine, and he's an acupuncture physician and the clinic director of Restoration Healthcare in Fort Myers, Florida. And his practice specializes in providing effective nutritional support for endocrine, digestion, musculoskeletal, and immune system health. And Dr. Dave has taught postgraduate programs through Texas Chiropractic College, Logan Chiropractic College, the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine, Palmer Chiropractic College, Life University, yeah, representing Georgia, and Northwestern Chiropractic College, and has served as a clinical consultant and a seminar speaker for Standard Process since 2003, and is currently a postgraduate faculty member of Texas Chiropractic College. That is a lot. That's a lot on your resume, and that's probably just the tip of the iceberg. Seeing what you do online and some of the networks that you've been working in and creating. Everyone that I've read about the commentary about you, they describe you as fun.
Well, I
And
appreciate that. That's a
every
good that's a good one word. If you had to be summarized in one word, that's not the worst word, I guess.
right. Well, and I just read what the internet says about you, with all those accolades. So I would love for you to put in your own words, give our viewers a little introduction about yourself, your background, and the work that you do.
Thank you so much, Nate. This is a privilege for me. I am the privileged one because, like you said, I have been a huge mega fan of PMF in general for a long time, but specifically pulse centers for I don't know how many years. I have to say 7 years now. So we'll get into all the intro how that happened, but my main specialty in my practice is nutrition. And you may say, well, what are you doing on a PMF webinar? What we're going to talk about today, one of the things that's going to come up over and over again is how PEMF is the most synergistic tool to add to nutrition therapies or really any therapy. It's the ultimate enhancer. But I've been in practice now about 25 years. I really became an acupuncturist so I could do herbal medicine and clinical nutrition. And I was kind of late in the game to finding PEMF. That was probably about 8 years ago. So it still feels like a new, fun, exciting discovery every day with it.
Come on. And some of the business that you run with in Fort Myers, um, what are s- what inspired you to connect PEMF to your practice?
So
I'm
you want my
sure
origin story, the
y-
whole origin story of how it happened?
you know how this works. Absolutely, give it to us.
Yeah, I've got a pretty fun origin story. So my dad was a chiropractor for 40 years, and he just recently retired about 3 years ago. And it was about 8 years ago that, he told me, Dave, I found this amazing technology. It's called pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. And like it does this and that. But right when he started describing it, I already tuned it out because my dad had always been a big gadget guy and he was always bringing new gadgets into the office. And, some of them were cool and some of them just over promised and they couldn't deliver, what the gadgets had promised. So by the time he had introduced me to PMF, I was in a stage of gadget fatigue and super. I came into PEMF the most skeptical person that you could possibly find. Like nobody's had a higher level of skepticism and disinterest getting into PMF. And so, he was telling me about it. I just was like, yeah. It's just another gadget. Well, he goes to a convention. He comes back home with like a $14,000 machine. It wasn't a Pulse Center's machine. It was some other company. And so I was like, oh, Dad, like you just you got tricked again, from another gadget. And he said, just try it. Well, I don't have any pain issues, which is what PMF is most famous for out there in the chiropractic world, but I've always had sleep issues. So the first time I got on this mat, I had amazing sleep that night. And I thought, oh, it's again, I'm coming in super skeptical, 10 out of 10 skepticism. So I thought it's just placebo. I'll try it again. But once again, I got on that PMF mat and I had like the most refreshing deep sleep, that I'd had in years. I'd been taking all these different supplements, nothing was working. And PEMF was the first thing that got me deeper, more restorative sleep. So for anybody listening that's had sleep issues, they know that if something works for sleep, you want to go deep down that rabbit hole. So, a couple weeks after being on that and seeing it over and over again, sleeping better and better, that sent me on literally a 1 year rabbit hole, deep research, in my basement, not coming out for a whole year, just online studying everything I could about PEMF. And it was both exciting and frustrating at the same time because I came away from it realizing like, why have I never heard of this technology before? Like, this is the most well-researched, studied, proven technology. There's more studies on PEMF than acupuncture with I'm an acupuncturist, chiropractic, all these other therapies, and still nobody knows about it. So that was my introduction. It helped my sleep. And so I knew like I'm going to use this. No matter I want to find out what the best source to use it, and that's eventually what led me to Pulse.
I love it. I, as one who is experiencing, well, my wife just had a baby boy, and so sleep deprivation is real,
Oh yeah,
and the effects of that is real. So I can understand why that would be a huge leap for you into this. But I really appreciate the fact that you have the kind of skepticism that's you're going to back it up with research, because there's some people who are
absolutely.
just skeptical and that's it. They
Yeah,
don't follow through with any kind of research to legitimize why they feel that way or why they
right.
have caution. And so the fact that you actually dove in, you're like, okay, this is doing something, and then you dove in to see if your skepticism was legitimate or not. And so
Yeah,
first of all, I have to say that's a sign of a true world changer. They're not just going to settle for that. They want to actually understand and know. And after seeing the videos and the work that you've done to spread the good news of PEMF, it's very clear you caught the bug. you
oh
you
yeah.
you get it. You get the excitement. There aren't a whole lot of other people I've seen as excited about this, and so I have to ask, what drew you to the excitement to Pulse PEMF in
Yeah.
particular? Because there's lots of manufacturers out there. What in particular made you decide Pulse is the one that I want to go with?
So I hope I can save listeners a lot of time, money, frustration that I went
Please.
through in the journey.
Yeah, come on. No,
Because
break down that year of research into 5 minutes and go.
so I should have counted them all up, but I bought before Pulse, I bought at least 7 different other brands of PEMF.
Whoa.
And that's probably a lowball number. I mean, when I say I became fanatical that year about PEMF, I became super fanatical. So some of those devices were low intensity, moderate intensity, and to go to your question, what drove me to Pulse was one of the biggest things, and this is so key for everybody listening to understand, is the most important starting place with PEMF is knowing the difference between low intensity devices and high intensity devices. That is the single biggest make or break factor of whether or not you get decent success and results or amazing, looks like miraculous results. So it was really what drew me to Pulse. The first thing was when the light bulb went off, and this is from watching lots of YouTube videos. And when the light bulb really went off, that high intensity is so, so important to get great clinical results. And so I had actually bought, after I got that light bulb went off, I bought two other pretty expensive high intensity machines, and they worked really well. But what drew me to Pulse was, the first thing was when I saw a picture of it. And I was, I was like, whoa, this is definitely the coolest looking PMF machine that I've seen. But really quickly realizing that it was the most multi-purpose high intensity PMF machine on the market. So there's a lot of machines that have a lot of the, that raw magnetic power to get pain relief and get great results. But Pulse Centers is really the only one that has the multiple applications where you can do a whole body high intensity session, plus treating specific areas of the body with lots of different accessories that are just getting better all the time, more customized for patients, unique individual needs. And that really was the biggest thing that drove me to Pulse, was, and I realized how multi-purpose the unit was, the power and the multi-purpose benefits.
I like to say that pulse is wellness that you can feel because it is high intensity. I would love for you as a natural health professional, could you break down a little bit more on how you explain high intensity versus low intensity to your clients?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of much smarter people than me to do that, and even going to PubMed and reading the different articles, and books like Dr. Pollack's PMF book goes into that in depth. But if you want the most simple way to know whether you've got a low intensity device or a high intensity device, can you hear it and can you feel it? Because the vast majority of PMF devices on the market, and sadly, many of the most well recognized name brands, are very low intensity that you can't feel, you can't hear them. When you have a very high intensity device, you're hearing that pulse magnetic field go through that copper coil, and it's such a strong field that it's able to create muscle contractions. And that's what I love about the pulse technology, is being able to adjust that so it's not too strong. You can make it as gentle as you want, or you can make it as absolutely strong as you want. But those would be the two distinguishing, simple, cut through all the red tape when you're
Yep.
looking at devices. Can you hear them clicking, and can you actually feel them pulsing?
That's brilliant. That is so practical. In that era, when you were doing your research and really diving
Oh, you
deep,
froze up.
how did you manage the
Can you
strategy
hear me?
of adding this to your existing offerings? Because even as an acupuncture physician, there's probably a number of services that you offered. And when you first started, didn't you start with your dad's practice as well? So there's already multiple things that this wellness center was offering. So how did you transition adding this extra modality? And were there any kind of like triumphs or challenges in that process, or was it really smooth?
Great question. I got to go back that far. So, like, what my biggest interest was, when I again realized about high intensity benefits, the biggest thing I wanted to incorporate it for was fast pain relief. That was the biggest thing that I really wanted to test it on. And when I first got the device, that was my main focus for 2 months. It was just, everybody that comes in that's in pain, this is going to be our main therapy. We're not going to use anything else. We're just using this and seeing how they respond. And it was crazy. That 2 months, it was like every type of pain from every type of cause that you could imagine flocked into my office. So it was such a blessing. I was able to see PEMF in action with
Come
the
on.
most diverse, wide range of pain, because, yeah, like, God knew I was a skeptical, hard-headed, and that I just needed to see it on full display. So it was headaches, it was sciatica, it was several cases of like dental abscess, like really strong pain, and they couldn't get into their dentist for like a week, so they needed something right now. This is the craziest thing. I kid you not. There were two cases in that 2 month time period. Never happened since. Two guys with orchitis, testicle infection came in. So
Wow.
yeah, and had them sit on the coils, put a, good high intensity session, both got pain relief instantly with that.
We'll
I
take
don't
all
know
the
if that
testimonials. We're gonna
yeah,
celebrate. A win is
I
a
was just gonna
win.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if that's gonna make it to like your big testimonial page or anything like that, or if you're gonna have a separate video with that. But to me, it was really important in that early phase when I was just testing the waters to see, what this stuff could do. Low back pain, shoulder, elbow, every type of pain imaginable. And I can honestly say there was not one person that I used the technology on that didn't get at least some pain relief in it happening instantly. And I think that that's the big point to bring up is, there's so many therapies. I told you my main specialty is nutrition, and I use some really great stuff for inflammation control, tissue healing, but they all take time and patience, to really kick in. And why I became, I don't know any other word to say, but addicted to PEMF in my practice is it is the only thing I've ever used that is bankable, instant pain relief, no matter what the origin of the pain is. And that's the other thing is like there's a lot of therapies that help if the pain is coming from inflammation or if
Mhm.
the pain is nerve related. But PMF is just the ultimate shotgun for no matter what is the root origin of pain. There's going to be something in that cellular exercise energizing effect that's going to help with pain modulation.
I so appreciate how you were speaking to the diversity because this really is, I think Dr. Pollock calls it the Swiss Army knife of wellness.
Yes. Oh, that's an awesome description.
There's so many ways that we can use this, and even just like the benefits. You talked about sleep, you talked about pain, all of those, the diversity of all of that means that this isn't necessarily going to be a cookie cutter process either. So when you're incorporating it into a business, that means there's a level of discernment. And I understand the addiction comment. Being addicted to PEMF, like I feel like I need it every day. My body starts to crave it.
Yep.
And I've even noticed, when we have pets over, I don't have any pets, but when we have friends with pets over, the pets are drawn to the field. It's clear that the body and the living organism wants that energy. It wants the cellular
Yep.
energy. It's drawn to it. So you're talking about patience, learning how to get that field to where it needs to be. So since there's not a cookie cutter way to do this, how did you go about creating principles and things that were leading to success when there's so much diversity in how you can use this? I mean, you're talking about
Yeah.
testicular infections and you're talking about lack of sleep and everything in between. So how did you start incorporating those principles to customize PEMF for different people's needs?
So one phrase that pops in my mind instantly with that question that one of my mentors taught me was, and this applies to PEMF as well as a lot of other things, but I'd say especially to PEMF,
Hmm.
you can never be wrong. You can only be more right. So, as long as you're adding that energy into the body, good things are going to happen. If sometimes we make it so complicated, we think, oh, if we don't get the exact right protocol, for this, it's just not going to work. With a pulse center's, machine, if you do nothing but lay on the full mat, push the button, lay back and enjoy, good things are going to happen. Like that's going to give you more than 99.9% of all other PMF devices out there, more as far as clinical results, that you can see and feel quickly. But I think one of the uh, biggest things that helped my confidence was all of the great training resources that are available just with the YouTube videos, simple principles, which accessories tend to be better for different body parts, knowing that the paddles are going to be the best on the head and not the strongest rings, that's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
Um, but Pulse has so many, and they're just improving all the time with the simple education materials, the quick training resource videos. I'm probably not even aware of half of what you guys have now that I need to like loop back and go see all the cool education videos that are out there, but they just made it so simple with that. And, like you said, it's not cookie cutter. Everybody's different, but there's also things that apply to everybody. And, one of the big ones is as much power as you can comfortably handle with a session. So the more power typically that the person can comfortably tolerate, the better the pain relief is going to be. That's just a general principle, not an absolute rule, but that was something that really helped me in the beginning.
Those are great principles. So, with that being said, you mentioned laying on the whole body bed. Is that something that you had your clients do like at the beginning or every session, or was the majority of their session that, and then you work on focus accessories?
Yeah, I try to sneak the whole bed in as much as I can to get that. So again, I'm an acupuncturist, and I'm probably going to offend tons of acupuncturists with this next statement. But since I found the Pulse machine, I don't do acupuncture anymore because of that whole body mat, because it is so powerful for balancing acupuncture meridians. When you have somebody no matter what the setting is, what the strength, any setting that you use when somebody's laying on the full body mat, think of it as acupuncture on steroids. Like, it's just the most phenomenal acupuncture meridian balancing technique that's out there. So I always try, whether it's 10 minutes of their session or the entire time, that they've got that whole mat or sitting in the whole chair, to get the whole body effect. If it's something like a knee problem and that's all they care about and they just want knee pain relief, there'll be times that I just do the rings on the knee. That's it for half an hour. But vast majority of times, people actually demand the whole body mat because of how good they feel after. They just feel more balanced.
Oh, hey, are you enjoying this video? Well then be sure to subscribe to our channel for the latest information on Pulse PEMF and tips on how to live an optimized life. And leave a comment below. Our team reads and responds to each one. Also, take a couple seconds and click that like button. It helps this channel get good news to more people. Now, back to the video. And I'm gonna get back to my self-care.
So let's talk about because this is the question that I have to ask every professional who's been using PEMF. This is one of my favorite questions. I want to hear the wow stories, like, the top 10. Can you pull a couple of those out where you had an unexpected result, greater success than you had anticipated, and maybe even somebody ended up buying their own machine because they had so much success with that?
I have had 3 patients buy their own XL Pro machines because of how great they felt on it. Um, I would say with the unexpected, that's still happening now. Even after 5, 6, 7 years using this really intensively in practice, like, it still surprises me how quickly people feel a result after a session. And, sometimes I've got to like act professional after a session and just be like, yeah, of course that happened, but I'm inside, I'm like, I can't, that's not supposed to happen. That's not, people are not supposed to feel something that happens every week, for me. So if you were, I cannot say a top 10, list. I would say one of the biggest wow factors is when it's a type of pain that people have come to believe they're never going to get relief with. So one that comes to mind is neuropathy. Like, I think that's one of the most gratifying things for me is helping somebody that's 80 years old, that's been in agony with neuropathy for a decade. And I put the new cube accessory, put their feet on that new cube accessory, and they don't feel 100% when they get off, but they can tell something is better. And the more they do it, the more relief they get. That is so incredibly gratifying to me, is when it's an impossible pain scenario. And then, yeah, and then the other gratifying part is just the day in, day out headaches, that you get. I haven't had one type of headache that hasn't gotten instant relief with a PMF session.
Wow.
So I know somebody out there's probably could disprove me and has had a client patient that wasn't the case with, but for me personally, whether it was a migraine, a structural headache, tension headache. If you do it right, I haven't had anybody that hasn't gotten some instant relief with that.
Wow. That's huge.
You still want wow for stories? I'm still
Yes,
thinking of
come
wow.
on. Yeah. Load me up. Don't hold back.
All right.
You
Let's
can save a
see.
few for the next interview, but
Vertigo. Instant vertigo relief. That's been a fun one.
wow.
And I got to say, when I said vertigo, it kind of makes me think. I think why I appreciate PMF so much is it because it is the Swiss Army knife, most multi-purpose. I believe it's the most multi-purpose therapy you can use in the body. Period. I would say 90% of the time, I don't know why the PMF session helped the patient because I'm not smart enough to know the exact root cause of what caused that problem. But when you look at the principles of PEMF, what's it doing? It's adding energy, it's adding voltage to the cell. And when you just add energy to the cell and step back, the body is so amazing what it can do with it, with its self-regulating, self-healing. And so PMF is very humbling because you can't take credit. You can't say like, look at what I did with it. Like the vast majority of the time, you're not going to know why you got the great results. You're not going to know what the problem even was. You were just adding energy, stepping back, and the body did great things with that energy.
Wow. That is so well said. I was just
I've
thinking
never really
about
put it
yeah,
together in my head like that, but yeah.
no, that's brilliant. And I was just thinking about the 25-ish% of society that they're just so driven by helping others, but don't necessarily want to be the center of attention. This is like the dream job for that demographic, because it is exactly as you say. You're helping people every single day overcome obstacles, pains, and issues, and at the same time you can't take credit. You're
Yep.
just the facilitator of this incredible technology that's working with the incredible technology of the created body.
Can I offend one more group? I offended the acupuncturists by
Come on.
let's just do a broad sweeping chiropractors. I think this is one of the biggest things that keep chiropractors many times from fully utilizing PEMF. Is the so, like there's so many times that it's got I don't understand what the incredible rushes of being a chiropractor and doing a miracle adjustment. It's got to be a really great feeling that I'm never going to know because I'm not one. But I think sometimes chiropractors become so fixated on that it's got to be my hands. I have to be the one to fix the person. It's really hard to step back and let a machine take the credit for getting really great results. I've seen that so many times where a chiropractor has a beautiful Excel Pro machine in their office and it just sits there not being fully utilized with it. And I don't fully understand that, except that's one of my theories is just it's one of the mindsets. It's just like I've got to do the work, all the work to get this person well. And it doesn't have to be that way. PMF is the most synergistic therapy for chiropractic. When you're a great chiropractor, but then you can put somebody on a PMF machine right after the adjustment for helping support blood flow, autonomic nervous system balance, inflammation management, connective tissue healing. I can't think of two more synergistic therapies than doing a chiropractic adjustment and then a PMF session right after.
It's brilliant.
Chiropractors, you got to use this.
Come on, you heard it from Dr. Dave himself. Don't drag your feet. Now you're in the topic and the subject of how this can affect business, and I know that could be probably one of the hangups for some to even broach the subject, let alone getting a machine into their office to even launch that. So how has PEMF impacted your business? Do you feel that this technology's helped you fulfill your mission and your vision for what
Oh,
you're wanting to do?
absolutely. And again, like it all goes back to why it is the best business investment you can possibly make is going back to that key benefit of the pulse machines, which is multi-purpose. There's no more multi-purpose therapy. So these are days of really fun beneficial technology, like all the biohacking technologies that are out there. So you've got things like laser. I told you before we started, I do hyperbaric oxygen. I love hyperbaric oxygen. I've seen great things with it. You've got cryotherapy, that's huge for inflammation and tissue healing. And all of these biohacking technologies, they're exciting. They get great results, but they're very specialized. They do one or two or three things really, really well. And why I absolutely love about PEMF, why we call it the third doctor in our office, because I have a chiropractor that works in my practice. I'm an acupuncturist. We call the PMF machine the third doctor because it's that multi-purpose in all the benefits that it provides. So, for doctors, I think that's a holdup of incorporating, especially a high intensity PMF machine that isn't cheap. They can definitely be very wary and hesitant, as they should be. But if I could just get them to see how it's the most multi-purpose technology you could use, you'll never regret it. In fact, so I do a lot of speaking for nutrition companies, Standard Process. That's the main supplement company that I use in my practice. And I can't help but talk about PEMF when I'm doing those nutrition seminars. And I would say over the course of 5 years, there's probably been at least 10 doctors that have bought Pulse XL Pro machines just from going to my nutrition seminars. I've never had one of them tell me they regretted it. In
Wow.
fact, with maybe the exception of one of them, every single one of them has bought at least 2 machines with it because they realized it was the best multi-purpose tool for their business. So they realized, okay, we're going to need 2 of these, like, to fully, utilize it. So yeah, it is. I can't remember which doctor it was. On one of the Pulse videos way back when, I was a chiropractor saying, getting a Pulse machine is better than hiring an associate doctor. Like it, again, it
Wow.
goes back to that. It is a doctor you can bring into your practice, and it's a lot less complicated than bringing in another doctor. And it's
There's
so
no ego or personality.
yes, exactly. You push a button, you leave the room, and great things happen. And that's another thing. I've got to make the distinction between PEMF and other biohacking technologies that are really great. Again, there's so many exciting, fun technologies out there, but PEMF is the simplest, hands down, to incorporate into your business. So again, I love hyperbaric oxygen especially for brain issues, post-stroke, neurodegenerative issues. I love using hyperbaric oxygen, but it's not nearly as simple, easy to incorporate into your practice as PMF is. PMF is the easiest, clean cut, simplest technology you can incorporate.
So I know you mentioned that you don't feel like you're this genius when it comes to PEMF or some of these
Not
other
even
modalities.
close.
However, you have a lot under your belt when it comes to nutrition. So I would love to hear from that standpoint how you see PEMF, particularly pulse machines, enhancing your work with nutrition. What is the
Oh,
interaction between PEMF and nutrition?
that's been so much fun because again, yeah, nutrition is my primary specialty. When people come in to see me, they know that's going to be like the main therapy I'm using. But again, it all goes back to that PEMF is the ultimate tool to speed things along and make things work faster. So even with the best supplements on the planet, like high-powered bioavailable turmeric supplements or boswellia, frankincense, all these great things that are coming out now, um, PMF is the only bankable thing that works right then and now. So if I have a new patient that comes in, they've had a shoulder problem for 10 years, and I tell them about these supplements I'm going to send them home with, there's already a high level of skepticism when they come in about my ability to help them. If I give them 15 minutes of just a sample of PEMF on the shoulder, and then they move their shoulder and they realize, like, wow, I've got better range of motion instantly, even though nothing's been fixed, nothing's been corrected, it's just a quick little boost pain relief. It gives them instant hope, and it gives me credibility in their mind that I'm going to be able to help them. And you cannot put a price tag on that. Everybody is skeptical when they come to see you at first visit. And when you've
Mhm.
got something in your office that right then and there instantly can deliver hope with whatever it is, whatever type, especially, pain, that's the best example with this, is when you can give them instant hope with chronic pain. That is the absolute best patient compliance tool to help make it easier for every other therapy you want to incorporate down the road. It builds that trust.
Wow. I've heard doctors saying that they feel like they need to build trust to get the client to see the value in adding PEMF to their list of services that they're receiving from a doctor. But I've never heard someone say they use PEMF to create the trust to
PEMF is the
sell the
trust builder.
supplements.
Yes.
Whoa. What a strategy. That's brilliant. And it takes a measure of discernment and intuition and boldness to be able to pull that off, because I don't, and that may be why some doctors are hesitant to take that. But seeing that as a strategy, you're like, I see PMF as a trust builder so that
Absolutely.
they're more likely to receive my counsel on supplementation. That's
I
brilliant.
absolutely love it when a new patient is in pain at the moment. When I say, how is it right now? And they're like, oh, it's killing me today.
And you're
Yes.
like,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. And
You're not sadistic. You just know what's about to happen.
yep, exactly. Exactly. Thank you for clarifying that for me. Um, and I always give them 2 sessions free, just to experience it and feel it.
Wow.
And, so they know I'm not, just trying to sell something extra that day. Like, hey, just feel it, experience it, see if it's right for you. And it's just amazing what that can do for somebody that's highly skeptical when they first come in.
Wow, you've definitely hit all of the boxes on from the synergistic side, the benefits, the testimonies, the strategies, and the principles. I would love for you to, just as we're closing this, what would you say to the person who is either hesitant, or maybe they've tried PEMF before and it didn't work? I know there's a lot to be said about the right PMF machine and the right professional applying it, and that you hit on this a little while ago about the variety of accessories that Pulse provides, so that if you have a cell that needs voltage, there's an accessory that we have that will get the energy to that cell.
Yeah.
So what would you say to those people who maybe were a little low on hope or very low on hope, and they've tried things like PEMF before, maybe not necessarily Pulse, or they're at that point where you've said where they just kind of accepted the pain as part of
Yeah.
their life?
Well, again, going back to that most important key concept of low intensity versus high intensity PEMF. If you tried something that had the label PEMF, but it was a very mild, gentle technology, there's benefit to that. There's always benefit to PEMF for circulation and multiple cell benefits. But when we're talking something you can feel right away, there has to be that power behind it. And Pulse is the best company providing high power with, like you said, multiple accessories to fit your unique individual needs. The other thing I would say is, just like with everything else, PEMF is a tool. There may be something else you need in addition to PMF to really get at a deep level for whatever it is that you're struggling with, whether it's pain. Again, if you're using PEMF without correcting underlying nutritional problems for chronic inflammation, PMF is probably always going to get you fast relief, but you've got to fix the nutritional part too. Or going back to chiropractic, if you've got structural, really severe structural misalignments, you've got to have those dealt with in addition to PEMF. So it's a tool, but again, it's the most multi-purpose bankable tool when it's done right for getting fast relief. So if you tried, let's just say you tried Pulse PMF and didn't get results, whatever it is, that you're going after, just remember it's one piece of the puzzle, but in my personal experience, it's a piece of the puzzle that I would not practice without. If I didn't have Pulse technology, I just wouldn't be as enthusiastic about driving to work.
Wow, that says a lot. Well, I'll be
Yeah.
honest, after having this interview with you, I want to drive down to Fort Myers. I'm
Come on
ready
down,
to
man.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
What would you actually could you go and just share how people can connect with you and where they can find out more information about your clinic and what do you have on the horizon? Are you working on any projects that you can share with us?
Oh, well, projects on the horizon that we mentioned before is the complete PEMF wrap for the first Pulse Centers wrap
Okay.
coming in the near future. Watch for that. Um, don't have a website right now. You can find me on Instagram, Dave Hogsed, YouTube. I think that's about it right now. But yeah, that's really want to do more videos like this, just giving simple explanations of how PMF works for everybody, that everybody can, whether you just want to get a PMF machine for your own house and use it there. It's just technology. I believe everybody should have access to, everybody should be using. Like you, I am in the daily club, using it daily. Totally departure from the question you asked, but another testimonial. This literally
Yeah.
happened yesterday. My mom came down to Fort Myers. They live about an hour away from me now, but they came down for PMF and a hyperbaric session. And my dad was in the hyperbaric chamber. My mom was on the PMF machine, and we did the paddles on the brain, 7.8, the ultimate, chill relaxation setting. I had it on the timer on 90 minutes. She slept the entire 90 minutes on it. And when she came out, she was like, she couldn't stop saying this. She said, "You've got to market it just for the power nap effect. Like, forget, forget all this paid stuff and everything. Just like tell people about the power nap benefit." And I would say, I mean, that goes back to what brought me into PEMF. I've been blessed never to have struggles with chronic pain, but sleep, mood, fatigue issues, that millions of Americans are struggling with. That's what really was the eye opener for me with PEMF. That's why I do it every single day, is that power nap, refreshing effect, how I sleep that night. Um, Definitely check into it. If you've never tried, if you don't have pain and you think, well, I don't need PMF because I don't have that, find somebody in your area. If you go to the Pulse Center's website and the find a location, you've got to experience it if you've never experienced it before.
What a plug. Thank you, Dr.
Oh,
Dave. I'm
my
I'm
pleasure.
in
Yeah.
wholehearted agreement with you on that one. Yeah, it's pulsepemf.com/locate, and you can find a professional near you with the machine and accessories that you want to try. Dr. Dave, this has been enlightening. It's been fun. Thank you so much. I want to
My
definitely
pleasure.
do this again. And I think that might be a new angle for some of these pulse centers to create little kiosks for power nap services. Add
There
that
you go.
to their
Oh,
menu of services, power nap.
just rename it the Power Nap Machine. Come on.
That would actually speak to a lot of people nowadays, wouldn't it? I think you're right about that. Everyone's experiencing the fatigue and the lack of sleep. You have been a wealth of information. Thank you so much for your time. Y'all can find him on Instagram and YouTube, and of course, you can always follow Pulse PEMF on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We are releasing more content frequently. We've got more training videos.
Thanks for watching this video by Pulse PEMF. For more information about us or to schedule a personalized demo with our technology, just click the link in the description below. Also, be sure to follow us on social media, especially YouTube, for inspiring stories, cutting-edge wellness tips, and exciting industry updates that will enhance your life.